I used to dream about showing the world what I dream about. Forget a mic, my whole life I thought it'd be the mouth. I guess it's fitting how life threw me the curveball. Pops told me work till you make it, man, then work more. I guess I took that to heart, cause I've been working harder now than I...
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of Mom's Basement or Mind Over Matter Sports. It's Joe, it's Corey, we're the hosts, we're ready to talk sports. Got a lot to do today, but before we jump into that sports talk, make sure you check out Crossover Report at crossoverreport.com and at Crossover Report on all social media. That's Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Check out that content every single day. Make sure you guys are liking them, tweeting them. Make sure you tell them what a great job they do, because they deserve it. Corey, you ready to jump into some sports?
Yeah, I mean, do you want to tell them about your shirt?
Oh, yeah. Okay. The sick button-up tee. If you don't know what movie this is from,
you're not a sports fan and you're not a baseball fan,
check yourself, because it's from The Sandlot. Calling the shot. We got the hot dogs, we got the baseballs, we got the s'mores. You're killing me, Smalls. Legend. I'm just a legend, honestly. I'm a legend in the making. The shirt is godly.
Well, like they say about legends, heroes get remembered, but legends never die.
Never die, Corey, ever.
Moving on.
All right, what we got for you guys today is some Bulls talk. Playoffs are starting tomorrow, or Sunday. Probably upload this on Sunday, so probably starting this day. Let's see, we got more NBA. I want to discuss a little something about the NBA in general, a couple things that really have been crossing my mind over the past week. We got baseball, obviously. MLB season is in full swing. We got Cubs and White Sox and possibly some Hawks, depending on if my good friend Matthew Cole decides to show up tonight.
Happy birthday, Paige!
I'm cutting that out.
Damn.
Also, excuse my voice. It's allergy season. It happens. I'm going to fight through it. I got my cough drops there. Let's talk Bulls, Corey.
Yeah, because we've been sitting here for 2.5 minutes and doing nothing. Go, Joe.
All right, Bulls, they made the playoffs.
For some reason.
Yeah, you know how we feel about it. You
Yeah.
know, we didn't want them in. There's no way they should have been in. I mean, the Heat, can we agree the Heat are a better team than the Bulls?
Yeah, it sucks that Brooklyn decided to rest everybody.
Everybody. Lopez, Linden play. Booker's their best rebounder. He didn't play. You had 3 guys hurt, so that's 6 guys. There's only like 12 on an NBA roster.
Yeah,
so right there, that's 7 through 12 are your starters. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, just pitiful what they... I mean, and I heard people talking about a conspiracy theory between Robin and Brooke Lopez or Jay-Z and Dwayne Wade.
No, I mean, not surprising.
We're going to get into stuff like that.
The resting and things like that, but yeah, not surprising. I think the Bulls blew them out by 30 plus, and they're in the playoffs, and they are the 8th seed playing the number 1 seed Boston Celtics.
And is it bad that in the back of my head before that Brooklyn game, I was thinking this is exactly the type of game that the Bulls could lose? Everything's stacked in their favor. 14-point favorite. Brooklyn's playing nobody.
You know they're going to win that game because it's the type of game that the Bulls win because they do everything that is the worst for their franchise long term, and making the playoffs is detrimental for their franchise.
I actually saw somebody on like ESPN.com, one of the articles, comment, I don't care about the Bulls' future, I only care about right now.
Right now they're shit.
And someone's like, how do you consider yourself a fan if you don't care about the future? I was like, yep, you're right. Like that comment. But yeah, they're playing the Celtics. I mean, let's face it, who do you think's a better player, Isaiah Thomas or Jimmy Butler?
Isaiah Thomas is the up-and-coming star in this league.
That is correct.
Yes, I would take Isaiah Thomas over Jimmy.
He's averaging 29 points a game.
Mm-hmm.
He gives you scoring. That team's just all around a better team than the Bulls. This is going to be a 4 or 5 game series, easy. Which brings us to why are the Bulls doing this? Why is Jerry Reinsdorf endorsing this? And this is the perfect example of the Reinsdorf way. He did it with the White Sox. It's happening now with the Bulls. He just puts a good old Band-Aid on that huge cut, that huge gash in your knee. Put a Band-Aid on it, hope for the best. But it's not the best for your franchise long term.
Yeah, you know, one thing I'm thinking about just sitting here, sort of equating it to the Detroit Tigers, their owner who recently passed away, whose name I can't remember at the moment.
Mr. I.
Yeah? Mr. I?
Yeah, I can't remember.
I can't remember. I know it began with an I. I just couldn't remember the full name. But my point bringing him up is that he recognized his team's window, and they didn't win a championship, but he bought in every single way he could when he realized that his team's window was now. And once the team started to get a little older and go downhill, and they still have to go through a rebuilding process, they traded pieces away. They traded away, David Price and things like that. And it's one of those things where Jerry, he's finally sort of getting in with the White Sox. In basketball, it's a much more drastic way because you can really, there's no necessarily a development system in the NBA. You just kind of got to be really, really bad. And
it's easier
draft.
to rebuild in the NBA, obviously.
Yeah, it's easier. It's easier, but it's more
court.
drastic than say something like baseball. I don't know why Jerry is deciding not to do it. Jimmy Butler is a good player. Jimmy Butler is not on the same level that Derrick Rose was when he was an MVP, and they don't have a superstar, and they have a terrible head coach. And
The worst head coach.
Yeah. So
they run sets that are like college offensive sets.
Well,
in
he
the
is
NBA.
he is a college coach.
I understand he was a college coach, but you're in the big leagues now. You can't. I mean, last year he's still running sets out of Tibbs' offense. Now college offensive sets doesn't make any sense.
And then they try because I used to be a fan of Garpax, I really did. But then they try selling us on the fact that Jimmy Butler is a number one, and they're trying to tell us that a big three of Rondo, Wade, and Butler is going to take us to a championship. It barely got you into the playoffs.
I'm just pissed off. I'm beyond mad now. I'm irritated. I'm aggravated. I'm pissed off. How long is it going to take? Seriously, what's it going to take? You have to trade Jimmy Butler. Period. End of discussion. If you're a Chicago Bulls fan and you say you don't have to trade Jimmy Butler, you're missing the point. Something's going over your head. You skipped a grade. I don't understand it. You have to trade him. You have to get those picks. You have to draft high. You have to stack young talent. And then you have to bring in pieces to go around them, get a good head coach, get a good system, get a good front office.
The Bulls
it's simple.
The Bulls say they want to get younger and more athletic, and they go out and sign Rajon Rondo and Dwayne Wade. I don't understand it. They have no direction right now. They are by far the worst run team in Chicago. I would say.
A team with no direction is the worst kind of team.
Yeah.
I can't stand it.
Trust me, being a White Sox fan since 2008, I feel that. It's great to see them finally pick a direction, and it's one of those things where they're gonna suck until they get it right, but at least they're going somewhere. They have a vision in mind. This team has no vision in mind.
No vision, absolutely none. The Bulls are the most aggravating, most least fun to watch team in the entire sport. And it's sad because the history that we have here in Chicago of great basketball, and it's just pitiful. Mm-hmm. It's honestly a joke, and I'm sick of it.
And Chicago used to be one of those places where it would be like destination, the number one destination for free agents, and
Don't
that's
have
just
that
not the
anymore
case
either.
anymore.
I hope they get bounced. I hope they get embarrassed in 4 games against the Celtics, so we could just go, well, what was that season worth?
Not a damn
thing. We missed
thing.
the lottery. We got friggin' bounced in the first round. We got embarrassed.
And I just want to make it clear for the people too. We're not saying this that they should have been missing the playoffs because they have a significant chance of getting the number one overall pick. It's just the idea that you can get started on this rebuild. You don't have to waste time with this idea that, oh my gosh, we're a playoff team in the NBA, when over half the teams in the NBA are playoff teams.
Yeah, I mean, over half the league makes playoffs. It's not that big of a deal to be an 8 seed. It's not a deal at all. All right, let's move on here. I want to talk about kind of the whole state of the NBA as it is now. There's been a lot of chatter. If you listen to any sports radio, you listen to ESPN, anything like that, you've heard it now. It's been a big epidemic here. 1, the resting of star players. 2, tanking, and what we can kind of do maybe to counteract it. What is anything you can think of? But first, let's start with resting players, Corey. What are your thoughts?
It's one of those things that, well, first of all, I don't worry about it because I'm a Bulls fan, and resting players doesn't mean jack shit to me because I don't want to go see them anyway. But if you're a fan of the Cleveland Cavaliers, or you're a fan of the Golden State Warriors, San Antonio Spurs, and you want to go to an NBA game, which is a very fun experience. I went to games when the Bulls were actually good, and some people travel hundreds of miles to see somebody like LeBron or Steph Curry or KD, and then they find out that the players are sitting out for the night, and that's pretty disappointing. I'm not sure what you can do to change that. When you sign an NBA contract or you make a decision, assuming you're talented enough to want to aspire for the NBA, it's an 82-game season. I could see players sitting out if they have legitimate injuries or they're legitimately banged up. But for just rest to rest, I'm not a fan of it, especially because you're trying to market this game and you're trying to convince the league that, hey, it's more than just 3 teams or 2 teams you want to see, but then you're turning fans off like that.
I get the whole thing with fans that you're going to games to see players play. But, I mean, I don't like the resting of players. I think it's pretty embarrassing. But I kind of do understand it. I mean, 82 games is a long season.
No, I get that. I get it. And if there were, if you didn't have the individual stories of fans driving hundreds of miles, spending money on tickets.
I mean, that's their choice, though.
I get it. I get it. It's like a risk that you have to take.
If you want to do that, do it early in the season. Where Game 5, Game 6, Game 7, Game 10. I mean, you have a better chance then. I mean, just plan around it if you have to. My thing is, to me, this just seems easy to solve. Adam Silver, hello, go from 82 to like 65 games.
Yeah.
Well, you're not going to lose money. I'm telling you, you're not. All the money. I heard someone say the money's coming from tickets, and the fans aren't going to go to games anymore. No, it's all TV revenue, all TV contracts. That's how the NBA is getting the bulk of their money. So you go from 82 to 65. You're not losing.
One of the best
money.
One of the best NBA seasons in recent memory too was that strike shortened season.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I think that was the year that Derrick Rose had his first knee injury. But they packed like 66 games in a really, really tight schedule, and you know what? That did lead to some player injuries or players breaking down because it was just so much in so little time. But it was a really entertaining season, and I think if you take the 60, 65, however many games you want to do it, and spread it out appropriately, we don't need 82 games to find out that the finals matchup is going to be Cleveland versus either San Antonio or Oklahoma City. Or not Oklahoma City, I'm sorry, Golden State. So, you don't need that much. You really don't.
Yeah.
And it would stop players from resting.
It just seems easy. I mean, and then maybe extend the All-Star break in that too, because, I mean, you got the dunk contest, the three-point contest, the rookies versus the futures versus rookies, whatever that is.
Mm-hmm.
Then you got the game. So those star guys are not getting rest. They're not resting in the All-Star break. They're getting maybe a day off, otherwise they're playing basketball. So extend that, take 15, 20 games off the schedule, but keep the same time. You can keep the same timeline. You probably shorten it a little bit because you're losing so many games. But, I mean, boom. There you go. You're resting more players. Don't have to sit out nationally televised games. Fans are happy. And, I mean, it just seems like an easy choice to me.
Mm-hmm.
Easy. The GM of the Rockets, this guy's an idiot. I watched him on Mike and Mike. I listened to him talk about James Harden being a god, and I get you have to defend your player, but he said, why don't we shorten it to 30 games? 30 games? Seriously? 30 friggin'
Daryl
games?
Morey?
Yes, that dude. Yeah, they call him the Billy Bean of the NBA. Excuse me. The Billy Bean of the NBA. Sorry, those allergies.
Oh, I got you. I feel you.
Yeah. He said 30-game seasons and then 1-game playoff series.
Nah.
He said that'll solve it. He's like, March Madness, you look at all that, look how much money you make on that. That's
March Madness is exciting, and basketball at this point is pretty boring because we know how it's going to end up. So.
Basically, that's just a terrible comparison in my opinion. You can't compare NBA playoffs to March Madness in 1-game series. No, I think 7-game series are perfectly fair. If anything, they were going to shorten it. It would definitely go to 5, not 3.
Yeah,
not
I
1.
would say 5 would be better until you get to like the conference finals.
Conference finals have to stay the same. But I think the resting thing is easy to solve. The other thing that we're going to talk about here, the tanking epidemic, is not easy to solve. You're not going to fix this. The only thing that I could maybe see is that you put a cutoff line. Okay, say any team with 30 wins or less has the same percentage chance to win the number 1 pick. You don't give higher percentages to less wins. You just put them all in a pool. They all get the same percent. I think that stops it a little bit. I think that makes it a little bit better, but not to an extent where it's going to go away completely.
Yeah, that's an interesting idea. That is really the only way I can see it, because you can't. Some teams just don't have talent.
If you penalize, like say the Bulls miss the playoffs and they're technically the 9 seed in the East. Say you flip the lottery and you give them the best chance because they just missed the playoffs. Then the teams that are already really bad are going to stay really bad for an even longer amount of time.
Yeah, I don't think anybody would recommend that at all. That's not.
Oh, I've heard it. Oh, don't worry. I've been listening to a lot of stuff.
Yeah,
I've heard that idea come up.
That's pretty stupid.
It's a dumb idea.
It's really hard to stop tanking because sometimes you just have bad coaches and bad players in bad situations.
Yeah,
and there's not really much you can do with that. I mean, the only reason why the Bulls aren't vying for the number 1 overall pick right now is because you have Jimmy Butler and you have players like Dwayne Wade who sometimes play well.
Don't worry, Dwayne Wade said he's turning it on for the playoffs.
Yeah, we'll
Can't
see.
wait.
But yeah, I don't think there's a way to fix tanking.
No, I don't either. I think the only idea is what I just mentioned, is to just put them all in a pool. Don't give higher percents because that's more random. I mean, with the lottery, you basically know who's going to pick where. I mean, I think the biggest surprise I can remember was the Bulls getting that number 1 pick.
Yeah, the Bulls had a
Rose.
1.7% chance to get Derrick Rose, and they got him. And that's...
Other than that, in my lifetime, I don't remember.
No, I don't remember
Basically, it's
anything.
just straightforward. If you win 7 games, you got the number 1 pick. So basically, we can assume that this year, this will prove us correct. Boston will have the number 1 pick because Brooklyn was the worst team in the league.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, we'll see. But as long as I can remember, it's been pretty straightforward. So if you group all those teams up, it gives you more parity in the lottery, and it gives all those teams a better chance of the number 1 pick, which can hopefully stop some of the tanking. So not half the teams
and
are in.
then
the year,
if
half
they
the
all have
teams-
the same odds, it gives these really bad teams incentive to develop their young players because
Yes. You wouldn't see Brooklyn.
Let's say you're a team that, because you're just in full active tank mode, you win 15, 20 games that year, and you've been winning 15 to 20 games for
and you've got me
consecutive
signed
years.
to a 10-day contract to start a point guard.
Yeah, no, I'm good. You've got like these young players who used to be top 5, top 10 picks in your organization, but you're, bringing them along slowly because they have injuries or they're a little banged up, or you just want to keep losing to ensure that you have the number 1 pick. If you're going to be in that lottery no matter what and everyone's going to have the same percentage, why not get these guys out on the floor, let them develop, get real minutes in real live NBA action, and then try to get out of that next year. Try to get out of this lottery and try to make yourself take the next step and get into the playoffs and try to develop from there, because you're not going to do much by trying to lose 60 games a year.
Yeah, ultimately, I'm not trying to bash the NBA. Adam Silver has done a tremendous job since he's become the commissioner. The NBA is obviously in really good shape. They're making a ton of money. They got a lot of fans. I just think that, you got to solve this resting thing. You got to try to stop some of the tanking, and you got to get more parity in the league, because it's going to be Golden State versus either Boston or Cleveland in the NBA Finals. There's no doubt in my mind that Golden State's winning the Western Conference.
Yeah, I would say there's more parity in the West, though. I think San Antonio can
San Antonio's good, sure. I don't think anyone's beating Golden State.
Yeah, well, I don't think anyone's beating LeBron. So we basically know it's going to be Cleveland, Golden State. But
alrighty, Corey. We talked Bulls, we talked NBA. Let's move into MLB. We had the season finally kicked off, had about a week of games. I just want to really talk about the Cubs start and the Sox start, obviously.
Yep.
We got 2 teams here. We got a lot of thoughts on them. Let's get into it. Starting with the defending world champion, the Chicago Cubs. We got our banner on Monday night. We got our rings on Wednesday night. Did you see the ring? Did you see
I did. It has a goat on it.
It has a lot of things on it, including 108 diamonds. Are you a ring guy or are you a banner guy? Question. Would you rather have the banner in the stadium or would you rather have a ring?
I'm just very nervous that you're selecting me. A banner, because you can relive it every single time you go back to the park.
I say the same thing. The banner is like the people's ring, because I don't have the ring at home in like a safe
Well,
deposit box or anything.
In 06, the White Sox gave out replicas.
Well, the Cubs are selling replicas, and they're giving out replicas, but the replicas are not worth anything. If you want to buy one, it's 25% smaller, has less gems, and has less writing, and it's like $10,700.
Fuck that.
Ask Nazer for some money.
No, I'm good. No, but I mean, if I was a Cub player, I would get a replica, wear it around, and make sure the one I have never leaves a safe.
That makes sense.
Make sure it's double locked, chained, nothing's
Well,
ever
just
leaving
put it in
there.
a bank. Put
Whatever.
it in a safe deposit box.
Whatever.
Yeah, so Cubs starting out 6-5. Currently a game and a half. I didn't think I'd be saying this. Currently a game and a half back of the Cincinnati Reds.
Oh boy, is there some regression there.
Yeah, that's not going to stay the same. Don't
Yep.
worry about that, Cub fans. Scott Feldman, their opening day starter. So I am 0 out of 10 worried. -5 out of 10 worried about them. But basically, I've liked what I've seen for the most part. There's some things that I really don't like. But the one thing that I love so far is Dexter Fowler. We don't need you.
Boy.
We don't need you.
Why do you say that?
Adios, amigo. Stay in St. Louis.
You have Kyle Schwarber leading off your lineup.
And he has a solid on base. I'm looking at his on base percentage right now. His on base percentage is .365, Corey. The dude walks like at least once.
Okay, and it's early. It's early in the season, but I'm saying I don't think Kyle Schwarber's as good of a leadoff man as Dexter Fowler, and he also K'd 3 times today.
Listen, sorry, I'm doing this again.
It's okay.
The day and age where your leadoff hitter needs to, steal 15, 20 bases, 30 bags, whatever, is over, especially in this lineup.
But I think Dexter Fowler is a better, how do I want to say it? Not pure hitter, but maybe more of a contact hitter than Schwarber is.
I mean, yeah, he's more of a contact hitter, but he's also got pop in that bat, Dexter does.
Yeah, and I'm just saying, I'm not trying to trash Kyle Schwarber. I just think, I think for the long season, because we're 11 games into the Cubs season, 10 games in for the White Sox. I think a lot's going to change, and I do think you're going to see the impact of losing Dexter Fowler at some point. That's just my take on it.
Hayward's been hitting well. He's hitting 289.
Yeah, his approach is better.
Almora has looked really good, especially on
defensively. Yep.
And he's coming off the bench. He's got some good bat speed. I like what I see. He's still got to develop at the plate.
Yeah, I think he's got a lower floor than most Cubs starters at the plate, or lower ceiling, I should say, of most Cubs starters at the plate.
Which is not. I mean, that's saying. I mean, the Cubs hitters.
That's okay if he's a bottom of the order hitter and he mans a great center field. I mean, I don't think there's any Cub fan will have an issue with that.
And John Jay has looked pretty good also, and no slouch on defense himself.
Mm-hmm.
They got those 3 guys that can just rotate in and out. All play great defense.
But hey, they all found out that the ivy is considered part of the wall.
That was weird. I saw once they showed the angle on the replay there, I was like, that's not a catch.
For you guys who don't know what we're talking about, Kyle Schwarber made a weird bobbling catch attempt effort in left field, but the ball had hit the ivy that is
trapped it basically against the ivy.
Yeah, trapped it against the ivy on Wrigley Field's wall in left field, and the ivy is considered part of the wall, so it wasn't a catch.
I don't see how anyone would say it's not a part of the wall. It's literally attached to the wall.
Yeah.
So that's just not a good argument. But yeah, I mean, John Jay, Albert Almora, Jason Hayward, I'm loving what I've seen so far. And of course, like I said, you don't need your leadoff hitters. Those leadoff hitters that steal bags basically are a pipe dream now. You've got D. Gordon, you've got Billy Hamilton. That's really it. They're going to steal 50 bases, So Kyle Schwarber's going to score runs if he gets on base.
You need a guy who is going to have high OBP, high on base percentage, and 365 isn't bad. I just think that it's going to be a little. I think that number is going to come down a little bit. I think it is.
Corey thinks it is, but Corey can be wrong.
I can be wrong.
He can be. Yeah, he's going to score runs because who's hitting behind him? The reigning
You got
MVP.
KB, you got Anthony Rizzo.
You
got Baez and
you got Zobrist, you got
Russell. Yeah. They have a stacked lineup. No
Murderer's
question.
Row.
No, I'm not going that far.
I'll go that far. It's a great lineup. Now the one thing about the Cubs that has really irked me early on is the bullpen. My God. Yikes.
Sounds like you guys can use David Robertson.
I don't want him. Jeez, Corey. Come on now. What would you ask for David Robertson from the Cubs?
Candelario.
Nah, not feeling that one at all.
Even though he's blocked for the next 15 years.
A lot of positions on the field, Corey. Anything can happen.
Okay, keep talking.
Anything can happen. Yeah, I mean, Mike Montgomery's got 2 losses and like a 6 ERA. We saw it today with Pedro Strop. Pedro Strop has always been that kind of fiery, inconsistent arm. But he's been bad.
He's been consistently bad.
Maybe
he should wear his hat the right way.
All right, let's not knock him on his hat here, Corey. Come on.
Shit.
That's not cool. Yeah, he's got a 9 ERA, Pedro Strop. 9.00.
For you guys who don't know what a 9 ERA is, that's giving up an average of 1 run per inning, and as a reliever, that's not good.
Yeah, I mean, that's terrible. Mike Montgomery's got his ERA down to 3, but he has 2 losses out of the pen already.
Yeah, wins and losses are kind of hard to...
Well, it basically means he came in a close game and he gave up the lead.
Yeah, I think as a reliever it means more than a starter, but yeah, 2 losses ain't good.
Yeah. Rondon's barely even getting used, really. I mean, Rondon's supposed to be our 8th inning guy. He's supposed to be our setup man.
I don't understand why that's not happening. I always thought he was pretty good.
Well, he was pretty good until he got shelled in the World Baseball Classic in spring training. Basically, Joe Maddon's been bringing him out there, and if he gives up a hit or a walk or is in any danger whatsoever, gets him out of there. So I want to see changes in the bullpen.
Wasn't he your guys' closer before you got Chapman?
Yes.
Yeah.
He was a pretty good closer.
I don't see. I think he's a very valuable bullpen piece that he's just not being used properly.
He's got to prove it. He's got to prove it again, I think.
All right.
Carl Edwards has been okay, but there was the game where he came in and just threw 8 balls and walked the bases loaded, and then Justin Grimm somehow got out of a bases loaded no out jam facing the LA Dodgers. I mean, that was
Yeah.
wild.
I mean, you like how Koji's been doing, though. Koji Iwahara.
I love Koji. It's just the fact that I see it already. The usage is going to be really high on him, and he's 40. He's in his 40s already.
Is he really? Jesus
So
Christ.
he's an old man.
I knew he was really old.
He's
I just
old
didn't know.
as hell.
You see.
So you got to be careful with your uses on Koji Uehara, because come September,
He's going to have...
his arm's going to fall off.
Yeah.
I mean, he has to. He's been in the league a while, too. So
Oh, I clicked the link and it took me to MLB.com. So we're just going to say he's in his 40s. Sorry.
inaccurate use of the computer right there.
I'm sorry.
I'm so disappointed in you.
Can we move on?
Yeah, I mean, that's really my only concern is they got to fix the bullpen. The starting pitching's been okay. Kyle Hendricks will get better. Brett Anderson has looked pretty good, actually. I didn't expect that out of Brett Anderson.
You know...
I saw what you did, by the way.
Because Kyle Hendricks is going to regress.
Excuse me.
I'm not saying he's going to be a terrible
I think
pitcher.
Kyle Hendricks can be better than he was last year.
You're wrong.
I'm not.
So far, you're wrong.
2 starts, man. 2 starts.
Okay, we're talking 2 starts. Let's see. Oh, my volume is still
There
up.
you
That
go.
is
You dead?
unprofessional. We'll see how you feel about a minimal number of starts when we
All-star
talk about
break.
Jose Quintana. But, yeah, fuck you.
I think Sile can be better than he was last year.
No, I don't
Yes.
think so. I don't think so.
Being a 5-starter also helps him, because in the beginning of the year here, he's going to face 4 and 5s.
Okay, but he's still facing the same lineup, so that's not ultimately going to matter too much.
In win-loss total will.
Okay, well, wins and losses don't matter.
Oh, the sexy stats, Corey. We have to go back to one of our episodes from over the summer. He doesn't have the sexy stats. Sile Hendricks is going to be a good pitcher this year.
I'm not saying he's not going to be a good pitcher. I don't think he's finishing in the top 3 for Cy Young again.
It's because he's going to win it.
1 is in the top 3.
I'm not good at math. Yeah, I think the starting pitch has been good. Arrieta and Lester have been Arrieta and Lester. Brett Anderson's been a plus so far. Sile will be better. John Lackey's John Lackey. Pencil him in for what he's going to get, you know. That's really all I got in the Cubs so
Dickhead.
far.
Hi.
Corey hates John
I
Lackey.
hate John Lackey.
Corey, talk about the White Sox.
Anyhow, White Sox are off to a 5-5 start. Given their schedule early on, I'm not. I guess if you had told me game 1 of the season or spring training, they start off 5-5, I'm thinking, that's probably accurate given the fact that they're going to lose to Cleveland and they're going to lose to Detroit, but they're going to win a bunch of games against Minnesota. And that's actually been kind of flipped. They took 2 out of 3 from Cleveland, and they've been beaten down pretty good by Minnesota at this point. Minnesota is currently, I believe, in first place in the AL Central. Let me double check just to make sure. I believe that is the case. Yes, they are tied with the Tigers, who also split with the White Sox, I believe, to open the season. But this isn't going to last for a lot of reasons. You have a lot of players overperforming right now.
Avi Garcia.
Yeah, he's just the first one.
James
Who are going
Shields.
to regress back to their norms, which are terrible. And then you have one piece in Jose Quintana, who I feel he's started off rough. He's actually 0-3 to start the year.
Yikes.
Yeah, it's I think he'll bounce back because I actually have his 3-start breakdown, and he's thrown 0s and 1s in every single inning of his 3 starts, except for the second inning of his first start and the first inning of his third start, where he's given up 5 apiece. So you can't just take out those bad innings when you factor in how good somebody is, but the resiliency is there for him to bounce back. April has always been his worst month in terms of ERA. I think he's just one of those pitchers that needs to get back into a groove. I'm not worried over 3 starts. If this is, we're talking about this in June, I'm going to be a little worried about it. Actually, I'll be a lot more worried about
Because
it.
no one's going to be calling if this is him in June. No calls.
I think they'll be calling. I just don't think that the White Sox are going to get what they want.
You can get our 15th best prospect for the Cubs.
No, we're not
You
doing
can have Dylan Cease and Pierce Johnson.
No. So Quintana's going to get better. As far as, the pieces we've seen so far that have been working, Matt Davidson, he was a former top 100 pick the White Sox traded for. Couldn't seem to get it going when he first got to the White Sox, but he's been tearing the cover off the ball as far as just bombs go. I believe he's got 4 in the early going, and he's already in double-digit RBIs. But one thing I've noticed with him, which ultimately signals that he's going to regress a little bit is that he's striking out in about 45 to 50% of his plate appearances, and that's not good for succeeding long-term as a hitter in the MLB. I think that he still is the type of guy who can kind of have a Adam Dunn light season where you hit 20, 25, upper 20 home runs but have a bad batting average and a bad on-base percentage because you're striking out so often. So I think he's going to regress a bit. Avi Garcia, I haven't gotten a good chance to watch him in terms of the number of at-bats just because I've been working a lot during the games, but people who have talked to me have said his approach to hitting looks a little different.
He's trying to elevate the ball more.
Yeah, because I still see things that bother me a lot with his game, and I was watching today, and it still really bothers me that he'll get a pitch on the inner half of the plate, and he'll try he won't try to turn on it. He won't try to take it to the left side. He'll try to take it to the right.
Yeah, that has to be an instinct thing. You have to be able to bring your hands in if the ball is inside, turn your hips, and really turn on that pitch and send it down the left field line.
Yeah, and he's just not showing that he's capable of doing that. I don't know if it's a mechanical thing or whatever the issue is with him. You know, he's just taking a ball and he's trying to force it to the right side or to dead center, and he's not pulling it like a natural power hitter would. So his value to you is basically a decent batting average, below average defense, and a power hitter label, and he's not able to hit for power. So Avi's not going to keep it up over the course of a 162-game season. It wouldn't surprise me next week to see if he starts to tank. As far as outside of Avi Garcia, we have Big Game James Shields, and Derek Holland, who have been pitching much better than anybody anticipated.
Big Game James showing up in those big games.
Yeah, those big games in early April.
No,
Big Game James. James Shields, he is going to be reverting back to that guy who gave up 40 homers last year once the season progresses and his velocity dies off of his fastball just from natural wear and tear on his arm.
Yeah, I watched his 2 starts, and his control is non-existent.
Yeah, he gave up 5 walks in his first start.
Yeah.
So that's not a recipe for success at all. And Derek Holland's start is a little more believable only because his biggest thing in the past has been his health. If his health can hold up, I think he can pitch well enough to get a decent prospect at the deadline. Nothing too star power or anything, but a decent prospect from a team who needs just a little bit more pitching help. And then as far as just slow starts, the White Sox offense has been absolutely horrific. Once Matt Davidson and Avi Garcia regress, this team is going to really struggle to put runs across the plate, and that's when you're going to really see the tank start, especially when the pitchers not named Quintana revert back to what they're expected to be, and then I think Jose Quintana will continue to improve his trade value, or maintain it, I should say, until the deadline, and that's when the rebuild stuff starts up again real strong.
And what are your thoughts on Rick Renteria thus far?
Thus far on Rick Renteria, I like how he's managed the bullpen. The bullpen has been absolutely phenomenal.
Robin Ventura should never get another managerial position just for that fact.
Yeah.
Cannot manage a bullpen.
Yeah, David Robertson, Zach Putnam, who else? Even Tommy Canley's been pretty good out of the bullpen. Nate Jones has been pretty bad out of the bullpen, which is a little surprising to me. I think the White Sox bullpen as a whole, the entire unit, has given up 5 total runs this season. Nate Jones has given up 3 of those. So he's been struggling a little bit, but I have no doubt that he'll bounce back. He's always been a very good setup man.
Yeah, his ERA is 5.06 and his WHIP's 2.06. So
yeah, so I think
the numbers you want to see.
Some teams might project him to be a closer. I think he's just going to be a really good setup man for a team at the deadline. I think he'll fetch a nice piece as well. Same with Zach Putnam. I think D-Rob's going to get a really high-end prospect just because all closers tend to do that.
David Robertson's Ks per 9 innings are at 18 right now.
That's good, ladies and gentlemen.
That's really good.
And then, I don't remember if I mentioned Zach Putnam's thrown 6 1/3 innings, I believe, and he's given up, I believe, 2 hits and struck out 8. So he's been really efficient to this point as well, and I think he can get another decent piece at the deadline. But the only thing I haven't really liked about Rick Renteria is that he keeps starting Cody Ashe solely because Cody Ashe hits left-handed because he thinks Matt Davidson can't handle right-handers yet. I think you got to give Davidson a chance to prove it. He's younger. He can be something for you at some point during this rebuild to be a power bat. Maybe he can develop and be some sort of DH down the way. But, you've got nothing at third base right now with Frazier being out. So you got to give Davidson this playing time against right-handed hitting. And, until he proves he can't, let him do it.
And Cody Ashley is ass cheeks. The guy will be DFA'd soon.
The second Yohan Moncada reaches that service time where he can be kept for another season, he's going to be called up and Ashley's going to be DFA'd.
Thank God. All right, so I think next we're going to have a guest on the podcast. Correct? That is confirmed, right?
Yeah, he said he'd show up, so.
All right, he was on here before. He covered hockey once already. His name is Matthew Cole.
He actually just texted me saying that he just got home, he's grabbing his laptop, and he is on his way.
All right, so coming up, we're going to have Matt Cole talking Blackhawks hockey, currently down 0-2 in the series to the Predators, heading to Nashville. So we're going to pick Matt's brain on that and a lot more NHL coming up here. Ladies and gentlemen, as you can see now with us, Matthew, White Chocolate, Cole.
Oh, that's just okay.
As he says nothing.
We didn't really plan on our... Okay. Hi. It's...
We're off to a roaring start.
November to April. It's been 5 months.
Has it been 5 months? I was going to ask, how long has it been? A lot has changed, but...
Matt's here to talk hockey today.
I am.
Hockey playoffs.
And I was actually... We were just listening to what I was saying in the last one, and I wasn't too far off base. I was pretty ballparking a lot of things. Like, I call Edmonton, my boys.
You were feeling the
I was
Oilers.
feeling the Oilers. Right now, they're locked in 1-1 right now. I'm feeling good about them. Okay. So they gave me an itinerary this time because apparently I went way over my time last time.
No, we're not saying that. Just the podcast last time with 4 people ended up being like 2
have
hours.
some racist people with hockey here.
What?
So.
What?
What? Okay, just okay. So what do we write down? So Matt, the Hawks right now, they haven't scored a goal in 2 games, and if you don't score, you can't win.
You can't win. It's Corey Crawford's fault.
Yeah. I was going to ask you about Corey Crawford in relation.
No,
to
in all seriousness, it's. I jokingly told him, I wrote it down here. I have about pretty much anything Hawks related right now can be summed up in one word, and it's ugly. It's ugly any way you slice it. I mean, I'm looking at the stats from tonight, and I mean, it's just they're not getting it done. I mean, they had more shots on goal. I mean, unable to perform on the power play 0 for 2, 16 penalty minutes. I mean, it's sloppy, it's ugly, it's not the Blackhawk hockey that
And the fact that they're doing this on home ice as well.
Yeah, and that's the rough part of it. I
embarrassing.
mean, the UC is the Madhouse on Madison is supposed to be one of the toughest places to play in, and it's. The Predators are making it look easy, and that's kind of unfortunate. The Predators are like
the second worst road team.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's the one I actually didn't call actually making the playoffs were the Predators, and they're right now going back home 2-0 lead on the Hawks. And
So, do you think that they can bounce back? Do you think that they can come back from a 2-0 deficit to win this in 6 or 7 games?
I think that you can't count the Blackhawks out because we've seen them here before. We've seen them down 3 games. We've seen them down, down in the 4th game, down 3 goals, and bounce back and turn the whole series. I mean, it's. Why are you laughing and staring at me?
Just not going to happen. That's all.
Okay.
So
then,
what do you think? So if you think they can, what has to change for them to be able to come back?
What and the way I see it, because again, looking at the Predators, I feel the biggest. The Predators very well could sweep the Hawks. I'm not saying they can't. They clearly have. They're figuring out what to do, and they're doing it. They've not let the Hawks score a goal. Just hotness all around. I mean, they're playing with great chemistry. I mean, they're getting it done.
Pecorine.
Dominant. He could be if the Predators can do this. He could if he stays hot. I mean, the Predators can make a run at this. But
now one thing I've noticed is that when the Predators have been getting ahead early, even if it's just 1-0, like a really, really early lead, they're not trying to match the Hawks' speed. They're just kind of hanging back and trying
playing
to
it safe.
And that's going to be their biggest mistake because if you let off that gas pedal, the Hawks will figure it out and they will catch you.
I mean, it's worked so far in the first.
You're right. It has.
Tonight's just a blowout. Though.
It was. I was getting phone updates on it, and it was just. It was sickening. Like again, it's the one way. It's ugly, just right there, ugly.
So how would you fix the offense then? Because 0 goals doesn't win you any games in any format.
I mean, you're down 0-2. I mean, you're in the playoffs, so I mean, you really don't hold anything back. I mean, maybe you start, if you're Q, maybe you try switching up some lines. I mean,
What about putting Tays and Kane together on the same line?
I mean, it's worked in the past. I think the only thing they're afraid of right now is doing it too soon and having too much star power on one line.
Well, I think at this point, if you're
I mean, that's the thing. It's a
Well, if you lose game 3,
If you lose game 3, I'm more willing about 95% you'll see it in game 3. I just think he's very hesitant right now to put all his chips in one line. But
at this point, they have 0 goals in 2 games.
I know,
you got to get on the board first.
and that's true. That's I mean, even then. So I mean, even just taking it that way, Kane and Tays aren't getting it done regardless, even not together. So I mean, it's the question now: will they get it done together? I mean, you don't know. It's just.
So then I think that it's a kind of a cop-out answer, but I think Tays, as a captain, isn't going to let them lose game 3. So what do you think for the rest of the series? How do you think the rest of the series is going to play out, Matt?
I think there's going to be some changes for the Hawks going into game 3. I think you're going to see the Predators going home very, very pumped, very amped. I mean, you have a 2-0 lead going home on the Hawks. That crowd's going to be into it. And the thing is, if you're from Chicago, if you're from anywhere in this division around here, you know that Chicago fans travel. I mean, that stadium could very well be split, 30-70, even 60-40.
So prediction.
I mean,
so then prediction for the rest of the series, like who wins the series and what's the game total?
I think it's all going to depend on next game. I think depending on even if the Hawks lose, if they can get on the board and put pressure on the Predators and kind of pull some of that heat off, I think they can turn back and win this in 7. If they repeat tonight, we're looking at maybe a sweep, maybe game 5 they can win one more.
Fun fact, none of ESPN's hockey analysts took the Predators to win the series.
I mean, I wouldn't. I don't
think anybody would.
Very few would. I
did.
No,
okay, that's because you hate Hawks.
Yeah,
I took them in 7. This is great.
So
I mean, you're shooting a little high.
That's because you hate Hawks fans. But
I mean, it's
going forward then, Matt. So Western Conference Finals predictions. Then this will be telling about how you think it's going to go because the Hawks are already down 2-0, and I believe you had them coming out of the Western Conference.
I do.
Who is your Western Conference Finals prediction?
Well, I remember my original. What I said was I would love in the Western. I would have loved to see Hawks in Edmonton. But looking at this 5-0, blowout right now.
So do you think Edmonton gets to the Western Conference Finals?
I think Edmonton. And I say it every time. I think Edmonton has they're playing San Jose, which they don't have the best track record in the playoffs. I mean, they can tend to be very hot, very cold. I like to look at them kind of like the Kings. Like a lot of those California teams, they just get so hot, so cold. It's just you don't really know with them. They're right now tied 1-1 in the series. I mean, they're contending with them. I mean, most people probably thought San Jose would have an easy first round with this one, but I mean they're holding on. They're doing what they need to do. But I mean, looking at it, I mean, if I had to guess, I mean, you have the Ducks, you have the Blues, which again one of those choke teams. But I mean, if I had to look right now, I'm probably gonna say my prediction is I'm gonna look at Edmonton and the Blues in the West. I think it's going to
I know who he's picking in the East. This is easy.
So who are you picking in the East then?
I'm not, because I know this team very well. And
this is easy.
Because it's not. Well, I'll tell you right now. It depends which. I mean, I can tell you. If you're looking at the Capitals and the Rangers, I mean, it's the Rangers are going to win because I couldn't tell you the last time the Capitals have been able to beat the Rangers in the playoffs. I mean, I could look it up, but I mean, I'm pretty sure they've lost like the last 3, 4.
You're so unprofessional.
Last 3, 4, 5 series, even maybe to the Rangers in the playoffs.
Listen, it's either they win it this year or they never do.
And like it's just so upsetting. I mean, it's
because you love Ovi.
I do, and like I love Ovi so much, and I just want him to have one ring. I want to come back on the show wearing my Capitals jersey. And like you know what, Ovi did it. Ovi got a ring.
You might have that chance if you pick the Washington Capitals to get out of the Eastern
It's what I know. I know them though. I mean, it's like it's.
So you're gonna have the Rangers beat the Capitals then?
No, I know. I'm just saying, not even in the finals. I'm just saying if that matchup does tend to happen.
So then, what would your matchup be then for the final 2 teams in the Eastern Conference?
Well, I guess it would have to be the Rangers and the Capitals, but yeah. Well, I don't. It's you don't know at hockey. It's you know what?
You have to pick.
We're asking you to pick.
You have to pick.
You're here as our hockey expert. We're asking you to pick two teams in the Eastern Conference.
It's gonna come. I mean, I don't see any team beating the Capitals in that section of it.
Okay, so you have the Capitals and then the Rangers.
Capitals and the Bruins or the Rangers.
So then, who do you have facing in the Stanley Cup Finals?
I would love to see Edmonton and the Capitals. That would just be my wet dream. But I mean, that's
wow.
Well, then make it.
Okay. You know what?
So then
I'm going to pull a Joey and be biased, like this is my Cubbies here. But I would love to see an Edmonton, Washington Capitals Stanley Cup. And a lot of you are probably like, that sounds stupid. Why would you want to see that? It's like Edmonton's my team. Like I love them. I just want nothing but success for them, and they just let me down because. They get so many high draft picks, and they can't.
And as a wise man once said, you do just never know.
Oh my God.
And Matt, I have to deal with that every week. It's okay. But it's like me picking the Bears. To be good, it breaks your heart after a while. So.
First of all, I don't have a bias. My bias is an educated bias. It's not just a bias out of thin air. I watch no games all year. Just Cubs. Their ace is Scott Feld. They're winning 100 games this year.
Didn't one of your players win Dancing with the Star or something like that? Or
chill, I don't watch that show. I hate Dancing with the Stars.
Okay.
Back to the topic.
David Ross is on Dancing with the Stars.
So we have Edmonton and the Capitals. So between the two of them, then who wins the Stanley Cup Finals?
If the Capitals get to the Stanley Cup, I think this is their year.
For Ovi?
I don't think if they can get past the Rangers, I don't think anyone's stopping them.
So what do you say? Capitals in 6? Over Edmonton?
I'd say maybe 5.
Okay.
Because Edmonton doesn't have that they don't have I think this is going to be a kind of a shock culture for them because they're not used to if they do beat San Jose, I mean they're going to go deeper and deeper in the playoffs. I mean it's going to be a long month or two still from it. I don't think it's something they're prepared for. I think if they do get to the Stanley Cup, they're going to be very tired, very beat. Where the Capitals, even though they haven't been at that grand stage. They've gone deep enough to know kind of, and even with a leader like Ovi, you kind of know you know how to kind of pace yourself to get there and do what you need to do when you get that deep into it.
So Matt is predicting that Ovechkin is going to get his first ring.
I think
first cup. Excuse me, I'm thinking of a different sport.
I think Joey absolutely nailed it. If they are gonna do it, it's gonna be this year. There's no, I don't see there being a next year. If you're that team, if you're that coach, if you're that GM, you pull all the stops. You make, you do what you got to do. Find the right. You do it.
All right.
Do what you got to do.
Absolutely. All right, you heard it here first. Matt Cole picking the Washington Capitals to win the Stanley Cup. Alex Ovechkin getting his first cup. Thank you, Matt, for being here today. For Matt and Corey, I'm Joe. This is Mom's Basement. If you like the video, make sure you leave a like and comment and subscribe to the channel. It really helps us grow. We appreciate you guys watching, listening, whatever it may be. And we'll see you guys next time.
Wait, I was told I could talk about WWE.
I told Foley hit the weed plug. I've been touring 6 months, I need a week off. Now I'm flying with my feet up. Costa Rica with a couple mamacitas. Hottest fevers, make them moan like a Lisa. Nice to meet you, what you need, I think I got it.